right, we are broadcasting. What's happening? There we go. And is the channel live? I believe it is. Yes. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Root, the role-playing game on so many levels. We're gonna play Root, the role-playing game. I, for some reason, am not saying it the way I usually say it, but that's okay. I'm Christiana Ellis, and I'm the game master for this game. Our players tonight, Paul Weimer as Arbin Ironwing.
Why couldn't they just ask us to put up a little figurine instead?
Nobilis as Lancelot Vent.
Hey there.
I only I didn't get that. What was?
Hi there.
Oh, okay.
Said in a really kind of suave way.
Okay.
The way I do.
I only got there the first time, which is why I asked.
Okay.
Jason Banks as Clem Sparrow.
There's always a murder most foul.
And if there isn't one, we'll make it.
Yeah. David Archambault as Nigel Farnboot.
It appears that we will be quite busy for a while.
Mm-hmm. And Lee Burdett as Peppa Pika.
Guys, not feeling so well.
Mm-hmm. So, when we last left our vagabonds, they were in the clearing of Pinehorn, where they have discovered a problem with the flour supply. And that's the flour that you make bread with. And in particular, a couple of people so far have already been poisoned because it turns out that the flour has been made with red millet. It's a type of grain that's really only supposed to be used for animal feed, but somewhere along the supply line provided by the Riverfolk Company, someone appears to have made a substitution that has got several people sick, including, apparently, one of your own, Peppa, who chose to eat one of the meat pies from the bakery, even as the doctor who was warning everybody about the poison was standing right there saying, I don't recommend that.
It was a vote of confidence. I was trying to comfort the baker.
Mm-hmm.
And honestly, it was really, really good.
Yeah.
At the time.
Yes, well, what you have discovered is that there is a particular herb that grows in the woods that can be used for treating this poison, and if you get some reasonably soon, there shouldn't be any worry about people dying. However, right now, you've already told Mirielda, the owner of the bakery, that she should stop using that flour, but it's also unknown how many more people may have bought this tainted flour in town. But also here in town, this town is run pretty much by a corrupt mayor who is the puppet of the Corvid Conspiracy. The Corvid Conspiracy who is angry because they believe you murdered one of their agents in Windgap Refuge. They believe that because you decided to take the blame to protect someone else. But now, after a sit down with Key, the local leadership here of the Corvid Conspiracy, you have agreed to murder a Marcusate count in Patchwood to make good on your previous trespass.
Right.
But the bodyguard of the person who was killed doesn't look thrilled with this outcome, so perhaps she will still need to be dealt with. But in the meantime, we're going to pick back up with our party. Everyone except Peppa has just left the sit-down. Peppa, you had pretty much just been staking out the bakery for purposes unknown, because when someone left under suspicious circumstances, you did not follow them. But, you know, at the same time, you were making sure nothing bad happened, I guess.
Yeah.
And you didn't see technically our friends leave. Like it was someone else.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, where are you now, Peppa? Are you still watching the bakery? Are you waiting for them to rendezvous with you?
Yes.
All right.
I'm still hiding out in my alley.
Okay. Well, let's just go ahead and say then that actually, I think I feel like we did finish with that, didn't we, last time?
Yeah.
Where everyone actually came away from the sit down and found you, and so now it is still just past midnight. You all have paid for rooms at the local inn, but what's the plan now?
We need to find some of this herb, and soon. I'm not sure we can do it at midnight, but I think at the crack of dawn we look for this herb to help Peppa and help the others who have been poisoned by this red millet.
Yes, and we should also try and find the source of the red millet if possible.
Yes, so we can prevent the continued contamination. Excellent.
Well,
Excellent.
didn't I talk to the wholesaler and
You
tell
told
him?
No, not yet. You
No,
told
no.
Mariella.
You were going
Okay.
to tell me to do that, but it was too late to
Yeah.
go talk
Okay.
to the wholesaler. We haven't had that confrontation yet. I think
Oh,
that's
okay.
also on
Okay.
the docket for tomorrow morning. In the meantime, we
Right.
got to keep Peppa as comfortable
Yeah.
as possible.
Yeah, and so
Yeah.
in the
I was
meantime,
going to say, I was going to say that we also need to figure out how we can stop this flower from spreading, or at least making more people sick, seeing as we don't know who or how many outside of our wonderful bakery friend has a pantry full of this stuff.
so
we're gonna
in
have
the
to talk
meantime,
to the
Peppa,
wholesaler.
you are, I think you weren't really noticing it too much when you were just sort of sitting and watching, but now that I think you're sort of trying to, like, actually talk and do things, and you've kind of rejoined them and not just kind of sitting in a spot keeping to yourself, you are feeling a little bit woozy, a little bit dizzy.
Okay. Yep. So Peppa is going to snuggle up on her little cot and use the things to like blanket Burrito. So all you really see is her little beak popping out and maybe a couple of feathers.
Did we get how many rooms did we get? Like one or two?
Just one.
One? Okay.
Yeah,
Good.
you arranged to have an extra bed dragged in.
Okay.
Right.
Just wanted to make sure none of us
Yeah.
are actually sleeping alone, just in case revenge was
Yeah.
desired.
You mean a certain
We
bluebird?
should
Might want to keep a watch. Yeah.
we should also maybe think about Pippa taking you to the doctor. I don't think we are as accustomed or equipped to making sure you're okay. And if revenge comes, you'd probably be better at defending against that there than cloistered away secretly here from
As
All right.
the
what-
meat the
I don't think the doctor would be very good at defending Peppa.
and
Yeah,
if the bluebird
do-
sees that, then Peppa could be more vulnerable away from us.
Yeah.
The doctor,
Yeah.
if the bluebird finds out.
Has
No.
has Lancelot confessed to throwing Peppa under the bus?
Uh,
Because I think that's kind of the antithesis of your nature.
um, uh, 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 my nature is to be friendly with people, and and sometimes being friendly with people you're with right now means you're not as friendly with people you aren't with right that moment.
Peppa looks at you with a thing. It's like, you are one of the people I'm going to throw up on if I have to.
That's fair. That's fair. Just don't hit the banjo. um, we needed to add a few details to the story in order to make it sound good. And the fact that you weren't there meant that further embroidery was impossible. So the reason I did it was not because I have any particular animus for you, but you were the one who wasn't there. And so the moral of the story is, if you don't want lies told about you, stay around me.
Even when you specifically asked me to go keep an eye on the bakery,
Well, somebody
I
had
will
to.
not actually be around you for you to lie about.
Yeah, even in those situations. It really asking me to decide who goes where and does what is probably just a bad idea.
Okay.
He was very persuasive. And it helped with the negotiations, although someone in the room wasn't very happy with those negotiations. And sadly, or luckily, depending on what side of the knife you're on, it was our old friend from
Rhodia.
our old friend Rhodey.
I didn't say actually that you had been the one who actually did the murder. I just said that it was you were the one who needed it done. And that's why we kind of collectively did it. It's still on all of us, really.
Okay, so your basic excuse for why we killed Pruitt was he needed killing.
Well, yeah, that you
Yep,
told basically
yep,
it was
yep.
the story is that you told us that he needed killing, and so we said, because you're a member of our crew and we trust you, all right then, let's do it.
Okay.
And that's how we ended up having to be set up for making our own murder beef.
They were oddly agreeable to that logic.
Yeah.
Which makes me wonder if they're not planning to get to off us once we're done, or if they don't expect us to be able to complete the mission at all.
Or it's a frame up, and we're being sent to do a mission that we cannot complete because the Marcus City is tipped off.
They've probably got it set up so that they win either way. Right?
Yeah, just like a crooked casino.
Yeah. So
only thing we can do is play as best we can.
What's the term I heard once? The house always wins.
The house always wins. That's exactly right, Nigel. But you can't win if you don't win if you can't play.
It's definitely a catch-22.
Perhaps speculation is less useful now than it will be in the morning.
Yep, in the morning we have things to do, and
so I given that I was the one to commit ourselves to this path, I will stay up and take the first watch. Two things to watch for: angry blue jays and Peppa's health. Mm-hmm. So if Peppa starts doing really poorly, we will need to take her to the doctor.
Yeah.
So
okay, so let's go ahead and have you do read a tense situation.
All right.
That is
get out my
roll with cunning.
Yep, I'm getting out my my misbehaving maiden's dice. Oh yeah, lovely. I rolled a 4, which becomes a 6.
Okay, I think that more of your attention ends up focused on Peppa, because as she lays down to try to start getting to sleep, that's when the stomach cramps start, Peppa. And you're not having a great time. And, I think, well, we just established you can only see your beak sticking out. I was just like, if this
Well, she's
were-
probably making noise, right?
Yeah, yeah. So I think, yeah. So, Lee, if you would be so kind, please give us a little taste of the sort of uncomfortable tummy ache moaning that Peppa is making.
Give it your all. This is acting here.
Yeah. No method acting here, but just
Dude,
Acting.
I think it's a combination of beat grinding and expletive chirp chirp, expletive beat grind, expletive cursing out the flower owners, expletive beat grind, expletive. Repeat ad nauseum.
Yeah.
Pun intended.
So I think that there is a, well, we'll charitably call it a water closet at the end of the hall, meaning it's essentially an outhouse that kind of you don't really have to go completely outside to get to. But
The garderobe?
sure, I guess I didn't know that word, but if that's what I described, then absolutely.
Yep.
So I think that you start having to get up and head that way. We will omit any unnecessary detail there, except that you're increasingly not feeling at all well, and I think Lancelot, what you realize is that as she comes back from the most recent visit there, she looks kind of wobbly on her feet.
Okay. Do you want to go to the doctor?
Yes and no. And she'll just turn around. She doesn't even take off the blanket. She just turns around and goes back the way she came.
I'm gonna go wake up Arbin, because we need somebody who can fight on this. And the two of us will take you over.
Okay.
yeah,
It was almost time for your watch anyways.
yeah. Oh, okay. Something wrong?
Yeah, Peppa's gotten worse, so we're taking her over to the doctor.
All right, right. Let me get dressed and ready, and yeah,
All right. So,
yeah. Oh, Peppa, we call her horrible. Right. Yeah. Between. Yeah. You lean on Lancelot, so I can have my
Whoop.
arms free. in
We're
case.
here. We're hearing extra audio there. Sorry, go ahead, Paul.
it's a
Yeah,
bonus.
so-
You don't have to pay for that.
Yep. So I'll let Lancelot support Peppa so that I have my sword and whatnot free in
Right.
case
Right.
something, in case a certain bluebird decides to get frisky.
Yeah.
That's his stance, and he's sticking to it.
No, it's fine.
I mean, the fact that if she throws up on Lancelot, and I mean that's a bonus in a sense.
Bonus question mark?
A bonus question mark. So,
Yeah.
yep. Let's get to the doctor.
Okay.
I make sure the banjo is slung on the opposite shoulder from
Sure.
You carrying the banjo to the doctor?
So
Okay.
so what is the plan here? Is this Lancelot and Peppa going and Arbin coming with, or Arbin
Yeah.
just taking over for watch because?
No, I'm coming with. I'm as bodyguard in case a certain bluebird is waiting for a chance.
Okay, so Clem and Nigel are staying behind. Are you waking them up?
I'm gonna wake up Clem, just so Clem can be short. Yeah, so Nigel gets some rest, but keep someone awake just in case the bluebird decides to strike while we're gone.
That's fine. Make sure Peppa's okay.
That's my
I
plan.
don't think, to be fair, I don't think Rhodia would attempt anything when we're on her boss's painful, I guess, but you never know. Love
You
makes
never
people
know.
do weird things.
Angry people do weird things. Right.
Mhm.
We'll get Pepper to the doctor now.
All right. I think with,
See if
oh, sorry.
Clem goes, while you're there, see if you can get some more of that grain alcohol from Dr.
No, I don't think
Pippa.
so.
Look, it's a get well gift for Pippa. Pippa likes fire.
He's probably not going to have any this soon, anyways.
Yeah.
We already got what he can spare. Come on.
Well, let's go.
All right. So I am going to have, as you, I would like a generic luck roll
Okay.
from. I guess I'll let Lancelot make it. He's got the best luck. Might as well
Yes.
get him. As you're making your way to the doctor's office.
These dice are betraying me.
Oh no.
I got another 6.
Okay.
Ooh.
So I think as you are, as you're heading towards the infirmary, there's a moment where you kind of come around a corner and you're startled because there is a very big cat there. And
That's unusual.
well, and not only that, but I think your immediate impression of him is in extreme confidence and competence. And he basically was in the shadows until he wasn't, and then you saw him, right? And so there's just a moment where he is looking at you, and then he looks over the three of you with casual interest. You get the impression that maybe he wasn't looking for you. You just happened to pass his what he was doing. But he is looking at the three of you and just saying, "My goodness, you do not look at all well." To Peppa.
Yeah, we're bringing her to the doctor.
Ah, well, I hope you feel better. Since I run into three people making their way across town at the dark of night, I wonder if I might ask you if you've seen a crow with burn scars on the face.
Have we?
A crow with burn scars, you say? Do you have a name for this crow you're seeking?
Well, I think if you see her, you know.
Have we seen somebody like that? I don't recall that, but it's been weeks. Sorry, nope, does not come to mind.
All right, well, let me just offer you this, and hands you a little slip of paper and says, "You see this crow? Let me know, and we can work things out." And then they slip away like around the corner, and it's like they are not waiting to hear any response. Like they're gone, and they move fast and quiet.
Was that a Marquisate accent that I heard? Yeah, I thought so.
Mm-hmm.
So what does the slip of paper say?
The slip of paper says, "Bounty wanted for the destruction of the Patchwood fortifications."
Ah,
And basically it doesn't have a number on there, but
yeah, yeah. Okay. Like it has a description of this crow with burn scars.
yeah.
But not a name, and we don't know the name of our new Marquisate friend.
No, and like there is definitely like I want to convey the expression and the tone of speech was, like I said, sort of casually interested, but in a sort of way like kind of like children that pass you in the park. It's kind of like you don't have any reason to worry about them, but maybe they might know something. So you ask, but otherwise you're on your way.
Right. Okay. Interesting. Well,
This town is full of intrigue.
well, name the last town we went to that wasn't.
Arbin thinks about it, and then nods.
I mean, even Iron Vein before the noodle incident, still.
yeah, they all
I
have.
mean,
So I think you are able to make your way to the infirmary without further incident, and certainly Murdy looks like you did. Like
Wake
he
him
was
up.
asleep, like on a stool next to one of the beds where one of the patients are, and he was just like leaning back against the wall, like asleep, sitting up. But certainly, you know, as you call to him, he stands up, and it looks like he stands up and starts moving, kind of like in the process of waking up. He's like, yes, of course, just a moment. Oh. Yep, well, okay. This was to be expected. How about over there? Just a second, and he's like, and he slips back kind of around a corner, and you hear the cap of a flask, and then a moment of like, all right then, so let's get you started. We've got a little bit of that herb, but yeah, we are gonna need some more if we're gonna get you all the way through this. So the rest of you, can you help with that? Okay.
in the
great.
morning, it doesn't do much good to search the forest in the middle of the night.
Well, yes, that was my suggestion as well. I just wanted to make sure because otherwise I have to make alternate plans. So come on over here, young lady, and we will hopefully get you at least able to sleep for the night.
We'll be back to see you in the morning, Peppa.
Yeah. And so I am sorry to say, Peppa, you are not feeling at all well.
No.
Yeah.
No.
Well, it's the price.
She was trying to do a good thing, but it came back and bit her in the butt.
Well,
Or the tail feathers.
that is how it goes sometimes.
Yep.
But the in some respects, I think it may have occurred to Clem and Nigel that the fact that it does actually take a little while before the symptoms show up makes it just all the harder to kind of really nail down whether someone is going to get sick or has already had something, or anyway. But yeah, so I think while you are out, Clem, are you keeping watch back at the room?
Yeah, Clem is keeping an eye out because he doesn't think Rodeo will attack them here, but he wouldn't put it past him.
Okay. So go ahead and do read a tense situation.
Cunning?
Yes.
8.
8. So I think then that, we're not, doing like the full questions thing here. I think that there is a moment where, so describe how you're doing this. Like, I would imagine you're in, classic, inn, like maybe 2-story, you're like on the second floor, you've got a window. Are you watching out the window? Do you have something propped up against the door? What's your setup?
He doesn't have anything propped up against the door, but he would go between the window and the door to see if maybe, because the window obviously doesn't give you proper angles to witness all of out front, right? Like someone, if they were directly under the building or came from the side, could get underneath it in the front door. So he's also listening to see if there's any sounds coming up the stairs to their room in between checks of the window.
Yeah, so there are occasionally people coming and going because, you don't have your own exterior entrance, so it's like there's people in the other rooms. But it's the middle of the night, so it's not, there's not that much activity. But it's just every so often you hear, the creak of the floorboards outside, and so far they've all gone past your door without stopping. And then as you're looking out the window, I think there's a moment where you look down and then standing just stock still looking up at the window, you see Rhodia, but then you blink your eyes and no, she's not there. Or was she? Mm, very much Michael Myers style, if you follow me here. So I think with that, then are Arbin and Lancelot coming back from the infirmary? What's the plan there?
Yeah, I think we are. Well,
Yeah, I guess there's nothing else we can do in the middle of the night.
yeah. Well, I'm still a little worried about leaving Peppa alone there.
But I think if Rhodia was following us, we'd have seen it.
Yeah, I suppose she's not subtle. All right.
No, she's a bruiser. So
Yeah. All right. Well, back to the room.
yeah, I mean, we'll try to do our best to keep a guard on her, as long as we're not searching for other things. But yeah, or on the doctor. If something happened to the doctor, this town will be in deep trouble.
Okay, so someone is staying or no?
No,
No.
no,
All
we're
right.
going back to the room.
Okay, so you go back to the room, and I think that there's not really anything else of note that happens over the course of the evening. Peppa, you there in the infirmary are given a horrible concoction. It tastes like trying to drink lawn clippings, and it does not. It's not good, but you do feel a bit like, although your stomach is still kind of churning a little bit, it seems a bit calmer, and you feel like you can get some sleep. Oh, we don't hear you.
Tastes horrible. It doesn't work. No, thank you. So she'll thank Murdy, and my friends will be back in the morning with more supplies.
All right. So then, as the rest of the night passes without incident, are you heading out bright and early to try to get some of this herb?
We have two major tasks: find the herb and get the supplier of the flour to stop and work on that supply chain. So the question is, how are we dividing those tasks between the four of us?
I think that I should be talking to the person rather than tromping around the wilderness. I think my skills are better used there.
Okay.
But I would like someone along with me in case Rhodia shows up.
I probably would be better in that with Lancelot. I have more knowledge of people than plants.
All right. So
Okay. All right.
that will leave Clem and I to go plant searching.
Mm-hmm.
So I think we have the division of labor. Lancelot and Nigel go talk to the flour vendors. Clem and Arbin go searching for the right flour, plants.
So let's begin with our herbology team.
Team herbology.
Yes. So we are going to use the travel through the forest move here. And so that means that you need to choose between you travel slowly, foraging heavily. Now, bear in mind, we're not going to do the same sort of depletion, exhaustion sorts of things necessarily. We're going to just kind of see how the roll goes and interpret. But nonetheless, are you traveling as trying to get in and out as quickly as possible with as much whatever you can find? Or are you, being careful and alert? Or are you basically really taking your time to get as much as you can?
I think getting as much as you can, because we don't know how far this has spread.
Yeah, I agree. We need as much as possible.
Mm-hmm.
Quantity over speed is key here, because half the town could be sickened by this. So and we just have to go out again. So, while we need Peppa, we need to be ready. We need to be ahead of this epidemic of poisoning.
Okay, so then if you are foraging heavily, go ahead and mark exhaustion once for each of you.
Okay.
And you're going to do a roll with a -1. And then and you don't have the +1 from Peppa's Traveler Extraordinaire because she's not with you.
No.
How would Clem's Forager?
Yeah, no, that's a good point.
Phil.
Let me remind myself how that works. So when you pass or travel into a forest before making any travel move, you can clear your choice of. Yeah, okay. So I would say if you can, you can use that move to clear up to 3 depletion, up to 2 exhaustion, up to 2 injury of just like. We can imagine your as you pass them, you are grabbing other useful things too, that sort of thing.
I can just see like Clem's hands are coming out of his shell, and it's like, ooh, that's useful, and just disappearing inside. And then, oh, hey, hey, this rock is exactly the right shape, and just.
I didn't. Yeah. He's like, I didn't think I'd find this here in this forest.
Yeah. Okay, so I think you can go ahead and do that, but we are still going to need someone to roll 2d6 -1.
Hear you, Clem.
Is that with cunning or is that enough?
It's just
That's
2d6 -1.
just raw. Yeah. So the modifier is based on what you've chosen to your chosen method.
All right, I'll roll it. Let's see.
Okay.
Give it one purple and one green die. Ooh, that's a 4.
A 4. Oh boy. Okay. I think you have found a fair amount of this herb, and you are excited that you found a place where it seems to be growing pretty plentifully. You are, collecting it as needed. You're, taking your time as planned. But I think as the two of you are, looking around or rather looking around for more of this, you are startled when you are like following along a route and then you bump into what you thought was going to be a tree, and then you realize that's not a tree. That's a pretty.
It's Stuntman.
No. In fact, it's worse. It's a bear.
Oh crap!
And the bear looked like it was kind of dozing. But this bear, we should be clear, as we kind of previously established, things bigger than the wolf are, like you could say trolls or ogres or whatever.
Or giants or dragons.
Yeah. Yeah. Bear is kind of like a dragon in that regard. And so this bear has just been lightly jostled. And so you bump into this, like, sort of not a tree, but this furry wall, and then it sort of shifts and you hear, and then a big head turns around, the eye looks down at you.
Hey bear, Clem, start backing up, Clem. Hey bear, Clem, back up. Hey bear.
Clem's like, well, that was unexpected.
So this would perhaps be an opportunity for one of you to make a read a tense situation roll.
Yeah, I'm gonna read a tense situation. And that is a 13.
A 13. Well, there you go. So that lets you ask 3 questions and take +1 while acting on the answers. So your questions, of course, the normal ones. What's my best way in, out, through? Who or what is the biggest threat? Who or what is most vulnerable to me? What should I be on the lookout for? Who is in control here? Some of those may be obvious, but feel free to.
Some of those are, some of those are
But
rather
nonetheless, if you you know, even when if they're obvious,
obvious. You take
you get
the
plus one while
forward.
acting on the information.
Okay, what's the best way out?
Yeah. So I think what you I think that part of the trick here for you, Arbin, is that because you can fly, it would be pretty straightforward for you to fly away and get out of the bear's reach. But unfortunately,
Sorry,
you know
Clem.
that is
Yeah,
not so that is not a feasible
That's-
option for Clem, who might be able to just hide in his shell,
Might.
but you don't know. But that really puts him at the mercy of what the bear decides to do with a turtle shell, right?
And
But
some camouflage and some bushes. Might
yeah, so I think that you right now the bear seems to have found like made sort of a little nest area in this spot where it was snoozing, and it's not even really all standing up. So you think that if you could basically run right, like in the direction away from where it's facing, and you could put more distance between you before it gets kind of able to up and turn around. It wouldn't be able to chase you as quickly. And you think that you could put enough distance between you that way that you could perhaps find somewhere to hide.
What should I be on the lookout for?
A place where you can get Clem to safety. Like looking for something that would, because the thing is, I think you know that without being able to fly, the bear, you know, I think Arbin, you are definitely in that scenario of like, I don't have to outrun the bear, I just have to outrun you. But if you don't want Clem to be the one that gets left behind, the problem is the bear you suspect is going to be able to outpace him over distance. And so what you need is to try to get enough space between you that you can find somewhere to like duck inside and make it more trouble than the bear thinks is worth it.
And what is most vulnerable to me, which I guess is regarding the bear. Where's the bear's vulnerability?
I think
If I was going to be foolish and actually try to fight the thing, which would be foolish to mind you.
Oh yes, no, yeah. I think certainly. I think in this circumstance, you think it would be extraordinarily foolish to just try to actually just straight up fight the bear. That would be silly. Not even silly.
Suicidal.
Just yeah. But you notice as it turns its sort of bleary eyes towards you, that it looks like its eyes are kind of red and itchy, and its nose looks like it might be a little bit stuffed up, like it's eaten something that's like swelling its nose a little bit. And you think that it's possible that its senses could more easily than usual be, you know,
Deceived.
interfered with or deceived. Yeah.
Okay.
Like its sense of smell and sight might not be as keen as usual.
All right. Clem, back up. We're going to find a place to hide and get the bear out of our sight. Just keep backing up. I'm keeping you between between you and the bear. Back up. And so go.
trust me.
And then Lancelot looks. Then Armin looks around and he's gone.
Yeah, like there's definitely, and you know, there's a moment of you see the bear getting one of its enormous legs underneath it.
Oh, boy.
Listen. I understand that you are a person of honor and privilege, and Clem is still quickly moving.
Good. That's good.
But I do not think you should stand here.
I'm not standing.
just-
I'm just trying to cover your retreat.
So
here.
Discretion is the better form of valor.
well, so I think that given that you don't have any applicable roguish feats, Clem, let's get a trust fate as you try to start moving away from this bear.
Alrighty.
So that's a roll with luck.
Okay, that's not bad. That's it. That's an 8.
Okay. So with Trust Fate, you are managed to get your way across, but I think that you are putting some distance between the bear, having followed the, having followed Arbin's lead. You are managing to get it in a position where it's going to have to finish standing up and turn all the way around before it can really even see where you're going. But I think that as you are scrambling backwards, you need to mark a point of exhaustion.
Appropriate.
Yep.
All right. So what are you doing, Arbin? You're the one that's a little bit more agile in this situation. Clem seems to be moving away as required, but what's next?
Okay, so I'm trying to get away. I mean, it's not quite using. I'm not even quite using Guardian my move, but I basically do want the bear to focus more on me than on Clem.
Mm-hmm.
So if the bear's going to chase after anybody, I want it to come after. But I don't actually want to get into.
How about
actually hit
so?
it.
Do you think you might fly around erratically, trying to draw its attention?
Yeah, get up into the air, drop down again. It's like yeah, come after me.
Yeah.
I'm the one you want.
Sure.
Eat me.
Eat
Yeah.
me exactly. Exactly. Just like when back. Eat me.
So perhaps I could have you attempt a roguish feat with your acrobatics roguish feat.
That would, and roguish sheets go with
Finesse.
what's that again?
Finesse.
Finesse. Okay. Well, let's give that a shot. That is an 11.
Okay, so with a 10 plus on attempt a roguish feat, where I don't have that.
I'm so glad I took acrobatics 2 sessions ago.
Yeah.
And
And
handy now.
So on a basically for all roguish feats, on a hit you achieve your goal. On a 7 to 9, you either mark exhaustion or take a risk. But with a 10 plus, you don't need to do that. And so basically, you describe how you are drawing the bear's attention so that it's not focusing on Clem as he retreats.
Dancing forward, jumping back, dancing forward, so that the bear with his rummy eyes has to focus on something, and I'm the thing that's in its sight all the time, jumping in front of Clem's path, so it hopefully won't even see Clem in it. The only thing that could have possibly disturbed it is this Gear Falcon. So I'm the one you want, and once it's got its eyes on me, then I can start pushing back and moving, trying to move fast enough, just faster than the bear, so that the bear will keep on me and thinks it has me. It might have me, where Clem can go far, far away.
Sure.
And be safe.
So I think you should have had the +1 for that if you didn't add it already.
Right,
I mean,
12. I made it 12. Yeah.
Okay, so just wanted to make sure you're using
You're right.
the bonuses
I didn't
you
use
got.
the last one. That's good.
Okay, yeah. So you've definitely got its attention. It's sort of squinting over at you, and it kind of there's a little bit of a it makes sort of a half-hearted swipe with its claws, but you are able to evade it with your skilled acrobatics. But it definitely is kind of starting to stomp more in your direction as you lead it away from Clem.
Yep, I'm gonna try to give it Clem a few more minutes, and then I will take to the skies, escape the bear, and try to find Clement so that we can continue on our way of finding herbs. With hopefully the bear completely befuddled as to what we're planning.
Yeah. So I think, Clem, what would your next move be? You've managed to put some distance, and now Arbin seems to be leading the bear in the other direction.
Definitely going to. I don't want him to keep trying to lead it away when I'm safe, when I'm hidden. So, is there?
The way I see it, you have two choices. You can either keep running, or you can look for a hiding place.
Yeah, I was sitting there thinking I would look for a hiding place. Maybe there would be a way to signal Arbin that I'm okay.
That's kind of the opposite of hiding.
Yeah, you don't want to throw up a signal.
Well, it depends on what the signal might be, because a signal that Arbin might understand, but I think the actual intelligence levels of bear is somewhat unknown because it's a sort of situation where you don't really get a chance to study them up close very often.
Yeah, well, that stag was pretty smart. So
Yes.
You know what? I will try to find me a place to hide. Maybe in some like a tree with like a lot of overgrowth underneath
Okay.
rocks
at the bottom.
rocks.
Rocks. Be the turtle. Be the
Yeah.
turtle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So I think, you know what I will actually allow here, is you have the roguish feat counterfeit, which this is a pretty
Stretch. It's a little bit of a stretch.
it's a stretch, but well,
Benefit, yes.
I'm just trying
thank
to
you, Rob.
well. So I'm trying to give you an opportunity to use something like roll something other than luck here, or rather, you know what? Let's say I think it makes sense that because Arbin has bought you some time, you can roll cunning instead. In fact, let's just have it be you can do your own read a tense situation roll here. To roll with cunning.
Well,
That looks like a
That'd
bad
be
roll.
yeah, that would be a snake eyes.
Snake eyes, huh? Okay, well, so you don't get to ask any of those questions. I think what has happened instead is that you are going to find that as you are looking around for a place to hide, you find a little sort of what looks like maybe kind of a tiny little cave opening that would be too small for the bear to fit in, but maybe big enough for you. But unfortunately, turns out that it's actually not quite big enough for you. And you are now stuck with your butt sticking out. Your shell is currently wedged in the cave opening.
and turtles can't suck in their gut.
And that's fine. I will still pretend to be said rock. I am just a stuck rock. Now, when Arbin comes back, then there will be the issue of trying to figure out how I can get out of said hole.
Okay, so Arbin, yeah, what is you're trying to just keep leading it away then, right? Or what are you
away
thinking?
for a decent amount of time and then
Okay,
Take
but
to
bearing
the
in
skies and
mind
then
that
fly
you're
over.
going to need a way to try to find Clem again, it might be hiding.
correct, which might be like more of a tracking. So I'm going to get into the air, fly back to where we started, and then try to follow Clem's trail to where he's hiding.
Okay, well that's potentially a lot. So
That is a lot.
yeah, I think that you certainly had the bear's attention, and I think that you are capable. See, the trick here is I think you're capable of just flying away. But if you maintain too much distance, the bear's going to stop following you. Right?
Eventually, at some point, it's going to. But I wanted at a point where it's not going to be able to find Clem at that point either.
Yeah. So
Eventually, I just want the bear to be befuddled and like not have a clue where to go next.
yeah. I would actually like you. I would like you to use your guardian move at this point because you bought some time, but now specifically you're trying to defend something or someone from an immediate NPC or environmental threat. So roll with might.
Roll with might.
Yeah.
And I have a +3 might, so hopefully I just didn't jinx myself by saying that. No, that's an 8 + 3, which is an 11.
Okay, great. So on a hit, you keep them safe, and you are going to choose one of these things. So you are choosing to either draw the attention of the threat, they focus on you now, put the threat in a vulnerable spot, take +1 forward to counterstrike, push the threat back, and then you and your protectee have a chance to maneuver or flee.
That's the one that makes absolute sense. Push the
Yeah.
threat back, and they will have a chance to get out of dodge.
Okay.
I'm not going to try to fight this bear. That's silly.
Well, how about this? I'm going to. Do you think that you would be daring enough to try to swoop in close and give it just a swat on the nose, hoping to like?
I'm a Ronin with the blue sword. Of course, I'm daring now.
Alright.
I'm a former knight of the Empire. I will have you, GM. Yes,
Right.
I am.
Well,
So-
or either that or a knight of the former empire.
Well,
take a pick,
ambiguous.
yes.
We keep saying empire. It is the dynasties technically.
Dynasty,
Yeah.
okay.
It's
The
not
Iron
like
Dynasty.
it's not an empire, but you know.
It's a
Well, I
dynasty.
mean, they're all empires, right?
Yeah.
You know, the Marquisate, the dynasty,
Well, you're right, but, like,
the
yeah.
duchy, they're all
But-
empires.
But the thing is, with the Erie though, is that there is not an emperor. There is not a leader. It is a bunch of different ruling families who can't get along with one another, which is the whole reason they don't rule everything anymore.
yeah.
But in any
Right.
case, though, I think you are able to, in your erratic movements, you see an opportunity to swing in and give it just a little bit of a whack right across the bridge of the nose, and then duck out of the way before it can snap back at you. And you see this has had the desired effect of its eyes are tearing up, and it kind of like settles its big haunches down and uses its front paws to, and it's not enjoying that. And you think that is, it's going to be distracted enough for a moment that you think you can try to swing back around to where Clem was, and that you will have lost it for the moment.
That's the plan. Excellent.
Okay. So Clem, you're just hiding? You just pulled your legs in, and the back half of your shell is just kind of sticking out?
Yep, I am. Because I'm. Can I hear the bear and its distressness? Have-
Yeah, I think you maybe hear it, but it's pretty distant.
Okay. Given how far away it is, I will. And since Arbin hasn't come back yet, I will wait. I will wait until Arbin returns,
Okay.
or at least I can hear Arbin maybe looking for me.
Right. I think what you heard was a fair amount of snorts that seems to be receding, and then this sort of this groan seems to be relatively distant. But now, Arbin, let's go ahead and get a trust fate as you try to find Clem again.
Fate, not my great stat here, folks. So here we go, and that is a whopping 5.
Okay. Yeah, I think that
Told you guys.
the way that I think this is just going to work is it just takes you a long time. And
You
have
hit yourself
mark-
better than you thought, or I'm just not a great
yeah,
tracker.
like
Take it
well, maybe make your marking exhaustion too, because you're just you're staying in
back.
the air.
I would have no more exhaustion if that's the case. I'm at
Or
4.
okay, well, you know what? It'll just take all the more time then.
Yeah.
I think by the time you are able to find Clem, you think the bear isn't anywhere near here. You can probably avoid it getting back, and you've gotten enough herb, but you're looking at the sun already like well past noon at this point.
Yeah. And Arbin looks a little ragged at this point.
You know, sometimes I just wish it was always so simple. If you could just whack it with a hammer. But alas, that's not what you do with a bear.
I'm imagining Clem like has got a deck of cards there and a little candle on a rock.
Playing a little solitaire.
Well,
No,
no, wasn't he
he's-
stuck?
He was stuck,
Uh,
but his,
So eventually unstuck.
I think when Arbin gets there, the two of them together can work that out.
Well, I imagine while he's waiting inside the little cave, he's just scratching a tic-tac-toe thing in the dirt
Try
or
again.
whatever. Oh, lost again.
Yeah, I'm just having Winnie the Pooh moments.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's exactly, yeah. Mhm.
Yeah, I'm like,
Except-
especially the bit that makes me think of is when Rabbit like puts like a shelf on Winnie the Pooh's feet and like draws a little face on his butt, and he's trying to make it like decoration. Yeah. In any case, though, I think you are eventually on your way back to town, having taken unfortunately longer than you had originally intended, and had a little bit of a scare along the way. Lancelot and Nigel,
Yeah.
where were you headed first? Straight to the
Straight
trading
to
post?
Alvin, the
Okay.
flower merchant. Yeah.
Okay.
We want to be there ideally before he's even really opened up.
Okay, so
So I'm a little bleary-eyed.
yeah.
Did not get a good night's sleep last night. Up early.
So
This is
I
not.
I think that you arrive at the trading post as people are starting to set up, and you see a sign set up on Alvin's stall that says "back in 5 minutes."
Is his like merchandise out, or
No,
is
it looks
is
like he has
it's
not
just-
started setting up for the morning.
Aha! I wonder if he got word and has booked it.
Actually, as you're standing there, one of the neighboring stalls sees you over there and says, you might want to head over to Counter Ernica's office. I believe that someone had a complaint with Alvin's flower, so if you want to talk to him, you might find him there, but you might as well not buy the flower anyways, what I hear.
Yeah, well, that was actually why we're here. Thank you very much. I'm going to head into the counter's office.
Okay. Yeah, so the trading post here has kind of a like central administration.
I thought of something. Can I retroactively get a note from the doctor to say this is what's going on?
Okay.
That we've definitively tracked the source of this to red millet in the flower?
Yeah, I think so. I think Murdy would have had you write something up and he'll sign it.
Yeah, that's fine. That's fine.
Just because he's busy. So, yeah, and I think, so what do you have that it says? It just says that, we have tested samples of this flower.
Yeah, and it's contaminated with red millet, and nobody should use it for humans.
And in particular, there are people who are actively really sick right now because they ate it.
Yeah.
I think though that as you are heading into this little administration office, you see that there is actually a small crowd in there already, and inside, you see a number of familiar faces in addition to just kind of other people who have come into what seems to be kind of a little bit of a, impromptu council meeting type of thing, where you see Alvin himself, this raccoon, sitting in the corner looking just like someone punched him in the stomach. And I don't necessarily mean literally. I mean, like, he just, like, looks really, like, worried, shocked, horrified, but, and, like, not contributing, just sitting in the corner looking, like, ashamed of himself, basically. But, like, in a scared way. But the primary activity right now is you have this counter woman. Hang on, let me... Counter Ernica, who is a beaver, who seems to be in charge of this trading post, being read the absolute riot act by Marielda the Wolverine Baker. And Marielda is absolutely, like, not just screaming, like, incoherently or even just irrationally angry, and not even really just, like, demanding money back or anything like that. She is talking about, it's like, this is exactly why factions like the Riverfolk Company and the Corvid Conspiracy both are here only to benefit themselves and to line their own pockets, and it's bad for the denizens, and it's bad for everyone here who wants to make a living, because if the Riverfolk Company has its way, all of our money will go into the river. If the Corvid conspiracy has its way, all of our money goes into their pockets. It is time that the denizens do something about it. And you see that, like, she is, you know, all she needs is a literal soapbox at this point. And there's a lot of people, like, listening, whereas Counter Ernica looks like she is waiting for an opportunity to try to turn this back into a reasonable conversation. Like, you know.
Okay, so I leaned on Nigel. I was like, all right. So do we support her on this? Because she's right. I mean, this sounds, I mean, I just got the orator move, and it's like, this seems like exactly the situation where it makes sense. Nigel, is there any reason why we shouldn't foment a revolution here?
Socialism.
I mean, other
comes
than
to
the
the
fact
liberals.
that you have other stuff to do today, I don't know.
Perhaps
I'm laughing. I'm kidding, of course. Obviously, I've engineered this entire situation, so.
Um,
a full-scale revolution may be
well, I
problematic.
mean, here's the only drawback I can think of is that I was the one who was talking to the Corvid boss last night.
Key,
Key, right?
but spelled, you know, Quay. That
Right.
Key.
I was the one talking to Key last night, and I doubt she would appreciate it much if I came out in support of this notion. But that being said, she's right. But okay, so the other option that I see is that we calm things down and have an orderly investigation into where exactly the flower came from, you know, who is responsible, and make it a narrow event rather than a broad one. What do you think, Nigel?
I believe the narrow event is better than the broad. Easier to direct towards what's actually the current events than
All right.
Cause an explosion of violence, which I do believe would be the result.
Well, I mean, as we've seen, sometimes explosions and violence are appropriate, but you know
Sometimes,
what? You've convinced me.
Good.
So I am going to play a chord on my banjo, a big loud zing a zing a zing a zing a zing.
I was thinking of.
No, I want something that's kind of alarming.
Sure.
You know, and you know, people take notice and get out of the way, and I kind of stride into the office, and like, I think we all know what happens when a mob gets started. It's pretty ugly. How about we sit down and find out who is in fact actually responsible and direct our attentions in their direction.
So I think I know that you're kind of leaning towards the orator move, but what I think is needed first is to persuade an NPC for Marielda.
Sure.
Because as you're saying that, you see Counter Ernica like nodding and saying, "Yes, please." But the issue here though is that you can see Marielda is already past this. This is just another example of the way that the Riverfolk Company is keeping the denizens down, you know, and which is again not wrong, but
yes.
yeah.
and to kind of ameliorate her, I'm going to be like, if we cause a huge ruckus, if we cause chaos, whoever's actually responsible for this could get away.
Okay.
And you don't want that.
No.
If you want justice, we have to do this in a methodical way, and
Right.
then we can talk about revolution.
Sure. So let's let's go ahead and get a charm roll for persuasion.
I rolled a 7 plus 3
There you
is
go.
10.
On a 10 plus, they see things your way, provided that you've given them a strong motive or reasonable bribe. And I think the strong motive in this context,
Yes.
as you just said, is
Yes.
there's a specific acute problem that needs to be resolved that is, more pressing than even
Yes.
a larger issue might still need to be addressed, but this needs to not be overlooked.
Right.
And so, yeah, go ahead and say how you say that to Marielda, who looks like she is angry at being interrupted.
Well, I mean, I kind of just did.
Okay.
Let's not lose sight of the fact that whoever's responsible for this grave injustice might escape if there's widespread chaos. So let's take a breather, talk to our friend here, our member of our community who was clearly duped in this matter, and see if we can get to the bottom of things.
I think that Counter Ernica was relieved that you have calmed Marielda down, but looks increasingly unhappy with every other thing you say. And just like, find the real person responsible and make sure that they're punished. You're clearly were duped. And it's just like, thank you, sir. I appreciate your helping to step in and just keep things from Marielda. Clearly, this is a very important situation, but if we can actually discuss the logistics and details of it, I'm sure that we can find out what happened and what needs to be done about it. But I think you'll find that some of the larger issues perhaps can be addressed at another time when we're not worried about people getting sick. And Marielda's,
Exactly.
she kind of folds her hands and just says, I'm going to expect some results then. And,
So do I.
well, and so Counter Ernica says, all right, well, I hope you don't expect those results in the next 5 minutes, because this is the first I'm hearing of what seems likely to be a very complicated situation. So can we take a moment? Can we all agree to investigate this in a collected way and determine what needs to happen from here forward, ideally with less yelling, although I certainly understand where the emotion is coming from. All right.
Right.
So, I have it from Marielda's accusation that we believe that we have a flour supply that is contains red millet, which
it's been proven, and I'll pull out the paperwork and say that the doctor's examined a sample of the flour and has concluded that it is in fact what's going on. And I'll hand that over to the counter.
Well, that does help. After all, I mean, this can be a very messy situation with a lot of just trading accusations. It's good to have some hard facts on this matter. So,
Could I read a tense situation?
Yeah.
Because I have another move related to it.
Okay.
Okay. Oh, that's with cunning, so that's a 10 total.
All right. Okay. So what is your move that you're imagining here?
It's an eye for the real story. When you read a tense situation, mark exhaustion, even on a miss, to spot someone who knows more than they're letting on.
Okay.
Take
Okay.
a +1 ongoing to convince them to share your secret with you when you get them in private.
Okay. So I think that you're looking around as this conversation is ongoing, and the rest of this scene that we've already been watching is happening. I think that you are looking around at everybody else. You see, of course, Alvin, who, again, I think your best impression of him right now is that either he's a really good actor or he is just genuinely floored by this whole thing. Like, had no idea and is horrified by the prospect. So either he's a good actor or that's what he's really feeling. You get a lot of other people in this little crowd who seem to be various shades of angry, concerned, worried, frustrated, entertained by drama, you know. But there is one person that I think you kind of this is a let's say it's an otter, and they are kind of standing back a little bit towards like one of the exits, like subconsciously they want to be prepared to run if they had to, and they look like they more than anyone else here looks like they don't want the real answer to be discovered, as opposed to everyone else who wants to solve the mystery, right?
Right.
But he's just over there going,
Okay.
looking very worried.
So,
Yeah.
Yeah. So this is happening while other conversations going on.
Mm-hmm.
Could I kind of nudge Lancelot and kind of subtly point out that otter?
You absolutely can, although what I'm going to ask is, Lancelot, would you make a trust fate roll as you try to look in that direction?
Okay.
You know, because you've been involved, so he would notice if you look at him.
Yeah. I got a 5, which with my luck is a 7.
Okay. So I think there's. So with the so I think. I think what happens is you definitely see who Nigel is talking about, but they see you see them, and slip out the door.
And I'll kind of elbow Nigel and point in that direction.
Okay, so I'll go ahead and move off.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because I'm kind of busy.
Sure. So in the meantime, we'll follow Nigel, but in the meantime, the rest of this conversation is going where, like, now that things have calmed a little bit, Counter Ernica actually seems like a fairly competent administrator here, who is in the process of saying, okay, let's find the paperwork, let's find the contracts, let's figure out where this particular shipment came from and trace it through and find the records and so on and so on. But that's a time-consuming process, and so there's a lot of like, okay, so we are going to go through the process, we're going to do the investigation, we're going to find out what happened, but I need everybody to stop expecting me to point at someone and say they did it.
So while that's happening, I'm going to head actually out to the, like, I'm imagining a fairly small office, like maybe 10 feet by 10 feet, with just people just packed in all over the place.
Yeah. Well, I think it's kind of almost like an outside bank teller window. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah.
So like there's like a roof with sort of supports that people can be out of the rain, but it's mostly open. But there's basically a like a bank teller window that is where she sits, and so everyone's kind of crowded around that.
So while that's going on, I'm going to use my orator feat to support this, and the what I want people to do is be calm about this, and actually everything's kind of boring right now.
Okay. So how is so your orator's skill
Another
though?
move.
I mean, what it says is you give a speech to interested denizens. So is this more a matter of like, oh boy, I can't wait to see the actual investigation process at work. Isn't it fascinating? All the red tape and bureaucracy as we go through contracts and trading records and manifests. And
Yes,
stuff.
and talking up just how boring this is, and everybody and with the underlying intent that everybody just goes back to what they were doing.
Okay, well, so that I mean, I think the intent of the move is motivational though. So how about it just being
But,
all right, everybody, you know, they're going to have to go through this process. It's not going to be any fun to stand around. Let's get back to, you know.
Right, yeah. So, I mean,
But-
if you want it to just be that, I don't need a role for that because that's pretty much what's going to happen.
I think that I'm not sure you need a role just to have people just
Okay.
generally sort of filter away. Like if you wanted it
Okay.
to happen a little faster than that so that you could kind of try to be more involved with this investigation, that would be one
Yeah.
thing.
Oh no, paperwork? No, I'm
Yeah,
not Nigel.
Okay. Okay.
I'm not Nigel. I find that prospect as boring as everybody else
Right.
does.
Okay.
It looks like they've got it under control. So,
Yeah.
yeah, I'm going to hang around
Sure.
to kind of be aware of the status,
hmm
but it's not. No, I'm not getting involved.
Okay. All right. So
I'll be sitting and figuring out fingerings on my banjo.
So I think as that is starting to happen, you know, they're increasingly getting into the position of saying, okay, well, we need to pull up Alvin's receipt from the shipping manifest. It would have come through here, and we can find out which ship it came through on, and whether the skipper for that ship is still in town, and just going through that process
just
and
all this stuff.
yeah, and increasingly, I think, although Marielda is not interfering at this point, she's, I think, increasingly annoyed at the prospect that this might actually be something that can't be resolved like today at all.
Yeah.
Right? Because the problem is, it's one thing to say, okay, we need to track down all this flour, but the idea of, okay, where did it come from and who's responsible, like, it might be someone 3 clearings away. Right? What do you...
Yeah.
But
well, no, I'm going to kind of invite her over
okay.
to come and sit with me.
She's reluctant because she wants to watch this whole process like a hawk,
Well,
even as it's making her eyes cross. So,
Well, I'm not leaving.
right. Well, I just mean that I think she's grumbling a little bit as she comes over to talk to you. She's muttering a little bit. It's like, I can just see it now. They're just going to tie this whole thing up in red tape and find a way to blame nobody. I can just tell. What? I mean, I'm sorry. I don't mean to be short with you. I appreciate that you've helped us to uncover this situation, but I'm really kind of still really angry, if you follow me.
No, yeah, no, I am angry too. But an angry smile gets you better than an angry scowl.
She gives you.
I'm absolutely furious, and I give her a huge smile.
Yeah, well, thing is, I live here.
Yeah. Uh-huh. And
That's the thing.
and you've been hurt, and so have the people, including my friend Peppa, have been hurt by this. I'm hoping that Arbin and Clem come back with some of that herb to cure this.
Yeah, I think that honestly is the first real crack in the anger you see of just the heartbreak starts to peek through a little bit, because especially since she specifically saw Peppa take a bite of the pie to prove her confidence, and now she's sick too. It's like that pokes a hole in her, in her anger a little bit. Like she's still mad, but that makes it a little bit sad instead of incandescent fury.
Hopefully, Arbin and Clem don't get eaten by a bear, and they'll come back with a cure. I think that's. Can we button that one?
Sure. Yeah. Yeah. So let's follow Nigel as
Yeah.
he goes off after this otter. So Nigel, I think that this otter, after slipping out the door, if you as you follow, you see him kind of hurrying on down towards the docks. Are you like?
Oh yes, I'm following.
Well, but what I'm getting at is he's hurrying. Are you running to keep up with him, or are you hoping you'll be able to find him again there?
I'm going to go ahead and run.
Okay.
Just if I can catch up to him, fairly quickly, I'll be like, "Sir."
Well, how
Sure,
about
please,
this? You have the sneak roguish feat. Let's see you attempt a roguish feat to try to. This is
Okay.
sneak in the context of trying to keep up with him without him just like running in panic from you. So to catch up before he realizes you're chasing him.
And that is a total of 11.
There you go. Yeah. So I think you see him moving a little bit erratically, looking around kind of in a paranoid way. But you also get the impression that what he saw is Lancelot look at him. He didn't realize your involvement. So he's not really running from you, but just looking a little paranoid. And you're able to kind of hurry around another way and sort of just be where he comes around a corner and you're there.
And I'll just stand there with book in hand and say, "Sir, I do believe I need to speak with you."
What do you mean? What do you need to speak with me about? I mean, I don't know anything.
Well, that would be good to be determined. And could you please turn me over here, out where we won't be in the path of anybody?
Who are you?
My name is Nigel. I simply wish to understand.
Understand what?
What's going on?
With what?
All the situation that's going on. The incident with the counter was quite unusual. I would hope.
I'm going to go ahead and have you, as we begin this conversation, roll for figure someone out.
Okay, and that's charm, right?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Hey, since would I get the +1 forward for the eye for the real story?
If that is what that move gives you, then yes.
Cool. So it's a roll with +0.
All right.
5.
5.
Oh.
Okay. Yeah, I think that unfortunately you mentioning the whole thing in there just kind of spooks him, and he just says, "Look, man, I don't have to talk to you. Just get out of my way. I'm going to my ship."
I'm going to stay in his way to try and basically try and hold
Okay.
hold him there.
All right. Are you like physically grabbing him? He's trying to push past.
Yes, but like, if I, my hope would be, arm around his shoulders and, steering him into an alleyway. So
Mm-hmm.
to be like, he's a friend, but he's a friend that needs a talking to.
Okay. Well, I think that's going to have to be grapple an enemy.
Okay, let's roll with might.
Yep.
A bad influence on the end team, clearly.
Not the worst. Double 6s.
Nice. There you
Yay!
go. Okay. So on a hit, you choose an option simultaneously with your opponent. On a 10+, you make one choice first. So before he can do anything, You can choose to strike a fast blow, inflict injury, wear them down, they mark exhaustion, exploit a weakness, remark exhaustion to inflict 2 injury, or withdraw, disengage to close range. And so I think in this context, probably, I'm based on your description, it sounds like you're going for exhaustion, not injury.
Yeah.
You're not trying to hurt him. And this isn't even necessarily like a punch in the stomach. This is more just kind of like you're going to make it more work to get away than he is willing to or able to put up at the moment.
Yes.
Okay. So you are able to mark one he is essentially marking one exhaustion here, but now you are each doing another thing. So he is going to try to withdraw, but if you want to mark exhaustion again,
Yeah.
yeah, I think that, I think that he is going to essentially take that exhaustion as wear to his his outfit. I think that he scrambles away from you at the cost of you tearing his shirt off. Like you kind of try to grab onto his shirt as he's trying to scamper away, and he literally just slides out of it. And then runs away. So you're now holding onto his shirt, and he is fleeing from you on foot, shirtless.
Okay. Well, I have his shirt. I should return it. I'm going to follow.
Okay.
It's such a bad idea.
This is now officially a chase. So you are chasing him. He is running away. He is running down the docks, headed for one of these the ships, and you're just pursuing.
Yes.
All right. Let's see. Let's call that. I don't think you have an appropriate. This wouldn't be sneak for sure. So
Okay.
I think.
Well, like my thought on sneak is like, if if he's trying to,
I allowed sneak before because he didn't necessarily know that
Okay.
you were chasing him.
Okay.
When he is running from you specifically,
Yeah.
you're basically, in order to keep up with him at all, you're having to run full out. At which point you're not sneaking.
Okay.
But I will let you roll Trust Fate instead.
Okay. Fun. 6.
Okay. Yeah, I think as you are running towards him, he runs to the end of a dock, hops onto a boat, and then runs across the boat and hops off the other side of the boat onto the other dock, and then runs back the other way. And I think in the process of you trying to sort of like turn around, you stumble and go off the side of the dock into the water.
As I do that, as I feel myself falling, it's like I toss my book back onto the
Okay,
dock. So
yeah, I'll allow that for sure. So there are other people on the docks who are more than willing to like fish you out and pull you back up onto the docks, but this guy has definitely gotten away.
In the line of birds can fly, capybaras are excellent swimmers.
Yes.
Well, okay, fair.
Yeah.
So
Right.
perhaps then I'm just you were not in danger in the water.
Yeah. I'm not in danger. I just didn't want to get the book that I always keep on me wet.
I would imagine that you've probably got some degree of waterproofing on it, but having it not be submerged is still probably better.
Yeah. Now, if I was prepared to go in the water, that'd be different.
Yeah. So I think unfortunately, he has definitely escaped, but you do still have his shirt.
Yes. Good.
Yeah. So, in the meantime, Peppa, you managed to get some sleep. in the morning you're still not feeling very well. And what I'm going to suggest here is that you start having very strange, vivid dreams.
Ooh.
Okay.
And in particular, tell me about the ordinary day back at Oakenhold with your family before you left to become a vagabond. Describe the ordinary day that you're having initially.
Okay, so ordinary day, up at the crack of dawn with all of my Nest brothers and sisters. Take a quick bath, take a quick breakfast, and then go out into the forest surrounding the clearing to forage in the early morning. Right after breakfast, go out there and forage and see what has popped up overnight, if there are any new mushrooms, all that kind of stuff. So everybody's kind of just imagine just a whole bunch of birds just go whoof in about 50 different directions at once. Some of them up, some of them down, some of them trying to sneak out. And so, back by lunch, and a lot of lunch is going to be, the fresh stuff that was foraged. Spend the afternoon helping the rabbits who live in the burrows under Oakenhold. Or the rabbits that live on the ground. I've been thinking of Oakenhold kind of like Watership Down, where they actually do live underground, and because they're primarily rabbits, and maybe there are a few houses for the non-rabbits, but most of the rabbits actually live underground.
What I had actually been envisioning for areas of Oakenhold is that it is known, first of all, in the woodland for having much larger trees than grow anywhere else, and it's not necessarily clear why that is, but the trees nonetheless grow much larger there, like redwood style,
Yeah.
And so there is a very elaborate sort of underground burrow sort of network of tunnels and everything that is kind of the hold itself. But I think the clearing in general also has a fair amount of like tree houses, and in some cases stairs that have been carved into the outside of some of these trees, kind of Rivendell
And then
style.
swinging bridges between the trees.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense, and that's kind of what I was thinking as well. So, but spend the rest of the day, helping out with everything. Maybe there's some lessons, when you're young, and that kind of thing. And maybe at nighttime everybody gets together in the actual clearing itself, and there's like a communal dinner with everybody.
But I think you're about to go join everyone for dinner when you hear a little bit of an uncanny musical song, just ah. You hear it just from somewhere out in the darkness.
Okay.
And
Well, I am a very curious little bird, so I will see if I can find that musical voice.
right. And there's a little bit of dream logic happening here where it doesn't seem weird that nobody else seems to hear it. You don't even really think to ask anybody else. You're just following. And you find yourself following a little speck of light that seems to be what's singing. And as you walk and then fly, you are briefly in complete darkness except for just this little flittering light that you're flying after, until all of a sudden it stops kind of bobbing and you realize it's actually the light, like as you're exiting a tunnel, one of the burrows underground maybe. But as you find that the black space around you is now no longer just dark space, but rather the darkness of a tight and narrow cave that you're having to actually kind of crawl through. It's small and it's kind of muddy and it's kind of restricting your movement, but you're trying to struggle through it to get to this exit where the light is. And as you sort of finally pull your head free, and you can see that the light is actually a vision of Oakenhold on fire.
Oh, crap.
And then all of a sudden you are being jostled awake, and you realize that this tightness of the tunnel that you were feeling around you is actually, you're just all wrapped up in your blankets, and you kind of fall off the little cot that you were on. And Murdy kind of comes over and just kind of, helps you kind of get sat back up on the cot. It's like, how are you feeling?
Okay. Not really appreciating the nightmares, but a little bit better.
Well, your friends have gone out into the woods to try to get some more of the medicine, so hopefully it won't be too much longer. We'll be able to get you, right as rain. Shouldn't have to deal with another night like last night if we can do something about it. I'm just hoping we don't get too many more patients come this way with symptoms like yours.
Yeah, Lance was going to go talk to the distributor, so that should start filtering out soon, I think.
Well, so in the meantime, here, just got you a little of this, and he just gives you like some really just cool, refreshing water. And says, and I've got some seed if you feel like you can keep it down. It might be good to try even if it comes back up.
Mm-hmm. So I'll take it slow.
All right.
One kernel at a time.
If that doesn't work out, we've got some broth. We'll try.
Okay.
All right. So as that is happening, Lancelot, are you? Do you have any other specific business, or are you letting the investigation kind of just process?
I'm paying attention to it, kind of sideways. I'm not introducing myself into it.
Mm-hmm.
I am also keeping my eye out for Nigel,
Mm-hmm.
because the result of that.
Yeah. So I think that as you're kind of waiting there, you hear a little bit of a commotion, and you realize that there are some more people coming over, and in particular, there is a. Let's see here. Hold on. There's a rabbit accompanied by a mouse and a weasel who look like exactly the sort of people that a corrupt mayor would have at their side. And so this is, in fact, a rabbit dressed far nicer than anyone else in town, who is marching in and just saying, "Now, what is the meaning of all this? I'm hearing there's a commotion, there's talk of poison flower, and no one came to talk to the mayor about it."
From what I can see, sir, it sounds like it's being handled. The counter is looking into the situation, and I'm sure when the time for justice comes around, we will be prepared to show you everything that we've discovered.
The weasel leans over and whispers something to the mayor, and the mayor kind of gives you a second look. They're just saying, "And what, may I ask, is your involvement in this, sir?"
Oh, well, I just delivered the letter from the doctor that established that the flour was in fact contaminated with red millet. Something of a messenger.
Well, then, sir, may I offer you Pinehorn's thanks for services rendered and a request now, an offer, you might say, that your services are no longer required in this matter and perhaps you can find more entertainment somewhere else.
Very well. And I will get up from the chair I'm in, kind of at the door to the not at the door. There's no door. It's an open area. I'll get up from the kind of park bench that I'm on that's right close by, sling my banjo over my shoulder, walk 10 steps down the way to the next one and sit down there.
Yeah, there's a moment where he starts to get a little bit red-faced, but then there's a moment where he seems to kind of think better of it and says, well, if I do say you have followed my instructions in a most entertaining fashion, sir, I apologize for my tone. You see, I just take all businesses such as these sorts of serious matters very much to heart when things are happening in Pinehorn, and I like to be involved. And so the fact that I was left out of the initial beginnings of this investigation makes me feel like people are trying to get away with something. My apologies if that came across as directed at you rather than the people who should have known better. And he looks at Marielda and then over at Counter Ernaka, who is also looking at him, just kind of facing her hand like sighing like, oh my gosh, I have to put up with this guy all the time. That sort of expression.
I'm going to go back to practicing my banjo and keeping my ears out for what's going on while they're over there.
Mm-hmm.
What
I'm just
species is the
thinking
mayor
that
again?
you.
He's a rabbit.
Rabbit.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm just thinking that you got out of the way, so now he's just right there at Marielda, and Marielda is still mad as blazes.
Yeah, and in fact, actually, I think that there is there's definitely a sense that the anger that she had at Counter Ernaka is really just as much at him, at Mayor Gage. But at the same time, I think, this is a moment where we'd also have the brief flashback of her in the bakery saying, anyone who challenges him tends to find prompt reasons why they shouldn't do that. And so you see her holding her tongue for the moment, but it's clear that there's a look. And I think you also notice that these two, the weasel and the mouse that are with the mayor, one of them is definitely giving you the mayor's flunky who thinks he's pretty important sort of look, right? The other one just has the coldest eyes, like, if the mayor told you to if the mayor told him to stab you in the throat right now, he would just do so without hesitation, and probably the expression on his face wouldn't change. Like, that guy does not look like he's, yeah. So that's the weasel, incidentally, is the one that
Right.
has that just kind of dead-eyed expression. But the mayor then kind of makes their way over to, Counter Ernaka and basically, begins the business of inserting themselves right into the middle of this whole situation. And Marielda just, I think she joins you on the next bench over, and she just says, you see, this is just what I'm worried about. This is what always happens. They're going to make a lot of noise, and then they're going to say, whoop, nothing can be done, and nothing changes.
Well, I'm not so sure it's going to happen that way this time. Because I don't know if you noticed, but the fellow who seemed to be sweating a little bit watching what was going on and dashed out the door was not a crow or a blue jay or a magpie. Wasn't a member of the mayor's folks either. So maybe maybe they use this as an excuse to make trouble for the Riverfolk Company. But
So, who is this that you're talking about?
oh, I don't know his name. It was an
Otter.
otter. My friend Nigel went after him. I'm hoping that he comes back sometime soon and reports
Cue
back on
Nigel
what he found.
returning, soaking wet, holding a shirt.
I take it you lost.
I lost him and he lost his shirt.
Well, at least we're up one shirt.
Yes.
So I think that you get the impression, Lancelot, that as much as she wants to be involved, you just see her, Marielda, watching Counter Ernaka and Mayor Gage and talking to each other. You don't see any positive result in her continuing to just sit here and stew looking at them. She looks like she is basically, you managed to put the lid on her sort of boiling tea kettles, but she's getting ready to whistle again.
You know what I could use right now? I could use a good pot of tea. What do you say we go have one? In private,
Yeah.
where we can talk, where nobody's listening.
Yeah, there's a moment there where she gives you a look that is kind of like, I know what you're doing. But yeah, okay. So yeah, she'll head with you back and Nigel back.
And maybe you've got a few towels.
Actually, Nigel does not Nigel actually looks somewhat refreshed. He's been,
Half of our soap.
he's just kind of casually combing the moisture through his hair and just
Nice.
or her and just
Yeah, your shoes squishing a little bit back and forth as you walk, but don't seem to have any problem with that. Just squish,
Yeah.
squish, 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 squish. So I think, unless you have a specific conversation you're wanting to kind of have with her.
I actually have something in mind.
Okay. So let's we'll have that this is the problem with our Arbin and Clem rolling poorly enough that it took a long time. Is
Yeah.
that we have to wait for
I
them to.
actually got a question. I got a question about that.
Sure.
Too. Does my ability, or does it again? Does my my nature survivor have kicked in clear exhaustion track when you try to flee or cover allies?
Yes,
flights?
I'm glad you said something because that actually did occur to me as well. Yes, it should. So your nature allows you, when you, as you just said, try to flee or cover allies' flight from a dangerous or overwhelming situation. You certainly did that. You clear your exhaustion track. So yes.
Excellent. I really needed that.
Yes. So.
well, before it gets started on the conversation, Nigel is wondering if Bronwyn might be able to, in her watching activity, might be able to give some information on this particular
Sure.
otter.
And his shirt.
Yes. Well, yeah. So, it's, basically, Nigel would say to Lancelot, I think I have a way of possibly identifying who this shirt belongs to. So I will meet you.
Meet
Where
us at the
shall I meet?
bakery later.
Bakery. Okay.
All right. So I think then I'm just My only hesitation here is just I feel bad for the players that are kind of not having a lot to do at the moment, but we're just kind of, we know what they're doing. So how about this? Let's briefly cut to Arbin and Clem on their way back through the forest. Just let's have just a little micro scene of their conversation as they head back.
Can't hear you, Jason.
You're muted.
You're muted, Jason.
I honestly don't think they're going to believe that we ran into a bear. This is the second time in so many weeks that we've come across gargantuan.
Something strange in the forest. No, but that's why they all believe it, because these things happen to me. It's not like these things don't happen. These things happen to me. So they'll believe it.
Wait. This happens to you all the time? So why did you choose to come into the woods with me?
Because we had the talkers talk to the flower people, so that left you and I to go into the woods. I'm sorry, Clem. This is kind of what happens when you venture with me. Weirdness.
The two most uncharismatic people come across the thing that we need to be probably the most charismatic for and not get eaten.
Yeah, that's kind of how it works.
Oh boy.
Up. We make a fork here. Left.
All right. So I think what I'm going to suggest is that Nigel, you actually, on your way to talk to Branwen, find her already out and heading towards the infirmary, and she just says, "Now, I'm trying to remember what was her voice. It was
kind of hunky.
Oh yeah, that's right. It was like this. Yeah." Which is supposed to be goose-like and not just kind of like what Clem's voice does. But I heard, not from any of you, that Peppa was in the infirmary.
Yes, I'm sorry. We were focused more on trying to solve the problem. Help her get well and the other people also stricken.
Well, I'm on my way there now, so you can walk along with me if you're looking for me. Why are you all wet?
Oh, I actually was trying to find catch the owner of this shirt, and well, I made a tumble into the water.
But you have his shirt?
It slipped off of him.
Did it?
Yes.
Well, okay. I think you arrive at the infirmary as you're having... I'm just finding a way to involve Lee as well.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So Lee, I think, or Peppa rather, as you were kind of like, sitting up, what are you getting up to? I'd say you probably don't have the energy to get up to much complicated, but you're also not like unconscious. Are you reading, or what are you getting up to, you think, in your sick bed?
I think I am reading through a book of local herbs and what they can cure. One of those reference manuals that's
Sure.
kind of dull and boring and just something for your eyes to do while you're just sitting there wrapped in a blanket burrito.
Has lots of pictures of leaves.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This leaf that is only slightly different from that leaf.
Mm-hmm. But in any case, you hear your friend Bronwyn and Nigel coming in, and Bronwyn hurries over to you and says, oh dear, I heard you took ill. Is it having to do with all of this chaos around the wheat?"
And Peppa chirps miserably.
Aw, honey. And I think she leans in for a hug, and then there's a little bit of as she gets close, she's like, maybe I'll just stay sitting up here, pat, pat, pat. Just a little bit of like, you maybe smell a little bit like you've been throwing up.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, so your friend Nigel was just telling me about how he has found a stranger's shirt just like Snow White and the glass slipper.
Yeah.
Yes, I found it just like that. Oddly appropriately. Yes.
Yeah, the you get like one eye peeks out of the blanket burrito and looks at you like looks at you like I don't really believe that that's the whole story, but I'll go with it for now. It takes less
And-
effort.
And you'll see Nigel will hold up the shirt for him, which is, kind of, I imagine, kind of narrow for compared to Nigel, but narrow and kind of longer than what Nigel would be wearing.
And Peppa will kind of tilt her head and say, "I think that might fit Lancelot, but it's a little threadbare for him."
Yes. I would like to return it to him, especially since I do believe this individual would have knowledge that I think would help solve the problem of the wheat, as you say.
Really?
Yes.
So, this was off an otter, did you say? She holds up
Yes.
the shirt. Well, I don't know the specific individual, but if you see all these little custom pockets they've got on there, that's
Yes.
something they've started doing down in Clutcher's Creek. Put little notepads in there.
That is definitely definitely good to know. From Clutcher's Creek, you say?
Yeah. So, tell me, is this a conspiracy?
I do believe it is a step of a conspiracy. As as the counter was discussing solving the mystery of the wheat, I noticed this otter had an expression of I don't want the mystery solved.
Oh,
And
intriguing.
I tried to have a friendly conversation, and he fled, and I wound up with this shirt.
Sounds very friendly to me.
Yes.
Well, perhaps then the way to track down the owner of the shirt, the missing owner of the shirt, is not so much in analyzing the shirt, so much as finding out who needs a new shirt.
Yes, that is actually a very good idea. Thank you very much.
I think I'll allow that we can have Arbin and Clem arrive back at the infirmary about then. We can imagine that this is now mid-afternoon, kind of hand waving a little bit as there's been some time passing, and so as the two of you arrive, Herbs in tow.
Doc Marty, we have what you've been looking for.
Uh,
Always
Took you
How's
long
Peppa?
enough, and he like takes them and he immediately starts sorting through them, and like about 1 out of 5 he says nope, nope, all right, nope. Okay, like this one is actually poisonous all by itself. All right, okay, no, this is good though. I mean, I don't, yeah. So this is great. Thank you so much. I'm sure all of these fine folks are going to thank you too as soon as I can actually mix it up and give it to them. So if you don't mind sickbed duty for a little bit, I'll get some of this whipped up.
Sir, Armin's happy to do sick bed duty. He's first going to check on Peppa.
And Clem just kind of goes, "Huh, that's better than I thought it would be when we're chased by a bear."
You mentioned being
bear.
chased by a bear, and Peppa at least like puts down the blanket a little bit and gives you guys a once over to make sure you're all in one piece.
Yeah, I think Bronwyn she does the whole thing where she puts her chin on her hands like this, but she's a goose, and so like her long neck is just like it's just, tell me all about it.
Well,
Oh
let,
boy.
let me help with these
Yeah.
people first.
So
and then
I
can
think
tell you.
we'll sort of fade away from that and jump back over to Lancelot and Marielda. So you've persuaded her to take you back and have some tea to talk in private rather than just watching and getting mad at bureaucracy and red tape happening.
Excellent. So let's talk about revolutions and how they get started.
All right.
So it doesn't start with someone on a soapbox in the corner shouting at their neighbors to get up and change things. It starts with quiet conversations in tea shops and bakeries and trading posts and things like that, between people who trust each other, between people who already know that, you know, this kind of thing can't go on. And finding common cause, gathering information, making connections, building a network. I think you're in a good position to be building that network. You know who you can trust. You have loyal customers, folks who are probably pretty angry about what's going on as well. And you've also, as I understand it, got a possible way of getting some information that comes from the enemy, if you finesse it properly.
What do you mean?
Now, I don't know this personally, but some of my compatriots have told me that your son might be involved with the mayor in his office.
He offered to work for them, and they have him running errands.
And those errands, if he should let slip who he's talking to and what he's doing and where messages are going, might give you an indication as to the people you don't necessarily have the ability to trust right away. And if his good graces can be maintained, smooth things over, he could be, witting or not, be a source of information for your little network, if you decide that that's the direction you want to go. Now, a hot temper isn't going to help that, because while these foundations being laid, you have to keep your head down. Because as you've already noticed, people who get up and make trouble all on their own get squished. And that's how it works with these kinds of things.
Yeah, but someone has to do something, and you know what? Soft conversations and whisper networks are all fine and good, until they don't accomplish anything and people get poisoned.
Well, let's look at this as a silver lining. This is the kind of thing people are going to be talking about for a while. And you and I both know that this is a result of the corruption that's going on in the leaders of this clearing. Whether or not the Corvids are behind it or the river folk doesn't really matter that much. So what I'm saying is, have some patience. You can't bake bread in 5 minutes. And take this as motivation. And should I roll a persuade an NPC? Or is
Yeah.
this is
Yeah.
this so straightforward that
No, I think we're definitely going to do a persuade an NPC roll.
okay?
Yeah, I was just trying to decide if there was any other wrinkle to bring in there, but I think that's probably still the right move.
Okay. Rolled an 8 plus 3 is 11.
Nice. Okay.
So
She says, you make a point. So after all, my blood got up today. But it's true, like I said, I mean, if I just go out there on my own and make trouble, I mean, it's not going to take much for them to put me down.
but if a dozen, 20, 30 people working together can't crush all of you. So I tell you what I'm going to do. We've got some business to handle outside of this clearing. We're vagabonds. We move along. That's how we work. But next time we're through, we'll come back and talk to you again and see if there's anything we can do to help you guys.
If I can ask you to do one thing, though,
Go ahead.
don't make my son a spy.
Oh.
He'll just get hurt.
Well, I'm not saying a spy. I'm saying that because he doesn't even have to be in on it. You just accept him back into your life, in spite of the fact that what he's doing is against your wishes, and you can find out things just by talking.
Lancelot, maybe I don't have the right to ask you for a favor right now,
Okay,
but
maybe you can owe me.
Gip,
You want me to try to get him out of there?
my son won't talk to me anymore about this. He won't listen to me.
Okay.
If you and your friends could convince him that there is another way, I think the only reason he signed up with him is he just doesn't see how it's ever going to be any different, and so he might as well get paid too. But if you could convince him that there is another way, get him out of there, then I'd feel a lot better about moving forward with whatever else we might have to do.
Well, I don't know how much longer we're going to be in town, but I will do what I can. I'll have a talk with him. Do you know where he hangs out? Where he can be found when he's not on duty?
Yeah, there's a bar down by the docks, and it's one of the few places where you get cross contamination between folks and the Corvids.
Aha. Okay. Kind of a neutral ground type of place.
It's a dive, is what it is.
Well, I've been in plenty of places like that myself, so it won't be that that unusual. I'll see what I can do. I don't make any promises, but because, like I said, I don't have a lot of time.
She gives you a great big hug, and I think it is during this hug that you realize her arms are really strong.
Well, yeah, there's all that kneading and stuff.
Yeah.
Like that.
Yeah. So it's a sincere hug, but I think it's a little bit startling that there's a moment of realizing, like, oh, I couldn't get out of this if I wanted to.
Yes. Okay. All
All right.
Well,
And
those strong arms might come in handy in the
Yeah.
next few weeks.
So I think, though, that as Murdy is preparing the medicine for the people who have at least already been, exposed to this flower, I think we'll maybe have like a little bit of a montage, though, of seeing a couple more people heading towards the infirmary, kind of holding their stomachs, and then we'll cut over and see more montage of this, Count Urnaka and the mayor arguing over pieces of paper, the mayor very much just throwing his weight around, and Count Urnaka very much saying this would be a lot easier if you weren't doing that, please. and then we'll have a cut over to a strange little dive bar on the docks where we'll see a young man Wolverine looking over at a shirtless otter and saying, "What happened to your shirt?" And that's where we'll end tonight's session.
Yay!
So, once again, we have session moves. We have everybody's drives. I think, let's see, we can probably also do a little bit of denizen prestige for going to recover the herbs.
Yay!
So Arbin and
Yeah.
Clem, you can take two prestige for the denizens each for that trip. Everyone else is helping, but it's a less like specific point.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think then we've also got, so for drives, Nigel, you've got ambition, increase your reputation with any faction. I don't suppose the 2 prestige for the denizens doesn't get you there yet.
Well, I didn't get that.
Oh, right, you're right. So never mind. And then development, contribute to a lasting development or improvement to an entire clearing. Not this time.
No.
For Arbin, folk hero, advance when you perform a significant act of service or heroism on behalf of the denizens, or cause significant harm to them or their interests. I think that kind of actually counts in this case. You know, going
I
and
took on a bear.
you took on a bear. You got crucial medicine for people who are sick.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Wanderlust, finish a journey to a clearing doesn't count when you just came back to the one you were already at.
Right.
Yeah.
Lancelot has got Wanderlust, of course, and then anti-militarist, advance when you sabotage a non-denizen's faction's army
Yeah.
or their ability to wage war. You're starting to get
Not
a little
yet.
wedge in.
We're
Yeah,
on
but-
the way, but
yeah.
not yet. Yeah.
Yeah. And then Clem has got Wanted still, and then Mysteries advance when you discover the truth behind strange phenomena or goings on. It's again still in
Getting
progress.
closer and closer.
Yeah,
Getting
yeah.
closer and closer.
Yeah, and then Peppa has the same too as Lancelot. So no
Yeah.
announcements there this week. But I hope you had a good time, and
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
we
Oh,
will
yes.
find out what happens next for our adventures in the clearing of Pinehorn when we return next week for more adventure in Root, the role-playing game on so many levels.
So many levels.
Yay.